And welcome back, everyone, to our second day of a new season of Black Twitch League. Season 12 here. RareAdam alongside Haji casting this one for you. We've got Predictive Gaming versus Barbara's Fanclub here. And after some really great games yesterday, Haji, we've got a couple of other bangers here today. You ready?
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready for some bangers. I was here for some banger Valorant, and now I'm here for some banger League.
Yeah, we're set for some fantastic gameplay, of course. Predictive Gaming here, coming in as some newcomers to the Black Twitch League. We have not a lot of familiar faces there, at least in the BTL community, but Haji, we've played against these guys before in our own leagues a couple of times, and they're a pretty solid team.
Yeah, I have played against Cookies in particular for quite a while actually. He was one of the first people I ever played when I played amateur, so I'm a little familiar with Cookies and we are with Predictive Nemesis as a whole, definitely.
Yeah, of course, under the tag of Predictive Gaming in this league as you get through the bans here. Zeri, Lux, and Heckram going to be banned away by Predictive Gaming. And on the opposite side, that Teemo ban is just a filler no ban as there is an E-sub in the mid lane, as well as the Zac and the Veigar. But Shaco picked up first here. This is a little bit off the wall here for Mute in the jungle as Jinx seems to be the hover on the flip side there for Pixel Wolf. But on the opposite side here, we've got Barbara's Fanclub, and this is possibly the craziest roster we've had in BTL in such a long time. It is, we've talked about it, it is the most min-max roster you can have. 2 master players, 3 gold players, and then one of the master players doesn't show up today. So Barbara's Fanclub going to be at a little bit of a, I don't want to say a disadvantage because they still have Inai filling in for nukes in the mid lane, but this is a team that has a lot of familiar faces, and I would say is the early season favorites to take the whole league.
Yeah, definitely. As you mentioned, definitely a min-max team, and even without one of those masters, still definitely a powerhouse with the rest of their team. Of course, they're going to have a bit of a disadvantage, like you mentioned, with the E-sub, but that's just a small hurdle in their games today, and I definitely think that they still have what it takes to fully take this series. And I'm excited for the game.
Yeah, and of course, when we've got all of these picks coming out here, you can see Shaco really early picked. We didn't really talk about it too much here, but that's a little bit of an odd one off the bat here. Seems like something Mute is feeling for themselves just right off the bat here, and if it wasn't banned away, obviously it's some sort of pocket pick.
Yeah. Looking at Mute's OP.GG, they have played Shaco a decent bit this season. Not their most played, technically not in the top 5, but 14 games on it this season with a 50% win rate. Not too bad, and it's definitely a off the wall pick. And it's one of those things that maybe they're even hiding more games on it, trying to keep it a little more under wraps. But it's a outside the wall a box pick. It's one of those things that can definitely trip up the enemy team. And a champion like Shaco, at least the way I view Shaco, is a champion, like Evelyn. One of those, or Twitch, one of those champions that can kind of warp the game around them, because you have to be very concerned with where their attack can be coming from, where these ganks could be coming from. And champions like Shaco, Evelyn, Twitch, they're champions that are very unpredictable, and you kind of warp the game around them because of that, because you have to be worried about where that could be coming from.
Yeah, and of course, if you look at the bans, they're even considering, or at least Barbara's Fanclub here is considering the possibility that Melon will pull it out in the support position with that Kha'Zix ban there. And looking at the other picks that have been picked up here, you can see the Jinx going to be picked up for Pixel Wolf here. This Gwen is picked up either for Watoted on the top side or Shifo in the jungle, as well as that Thresh for Rainbow Tail. So thus far, these first 3 picks are looking pretty strong for the side of Barbara's Fanclub. Pretty rigidly meta, I want to say, though.
Yeah, definitely. This is all, very meta. Jinx is one of the strongest ADCs in the meta currently. If not, at least in my personal opinion, the strongest ADC in the meta currently. And Gwen follows that up with having a really good ability to push team fights in a way that kind of force you to play around her. Gwen is untouchable in that mist. So and it does
Ooh.
look like it's going to be going into the jungle here with this Riven, unless we see like a Riven mid or jungle. OG season 3 stuff, um, which is a little less likely.
Yeah, of course, Riven jungle is a thing in Wild Rift. If you haven't been paying attention to the Wild Rift scene, Tarzan plays a crap ton of Riven jungle there, but could technically be going to the mid lane if they really want to pull out the stops. But on the flip side here for Predictive Gaming, we've got this Akali, we've got now this Victor coming in, so it's going to be Pafu pulling out the Akali up in the top lane here. Double AP threat already plus a Shaco means that if the Shaco goes into the jungle, it's going to have to be that AD Shaco build here. And seems like with the Braum locked in, it's going to be Tristana Braum bot lane. Predictive Gaming's composition here is very it seems like a very comfortable comp for them here. Do you see any sort of shortcomings that this comp might have?
Yeah, I think it's very focused on trying to get this top side rolling, specifically the Shaco and Akali. Shaco's not that same level of scaling as he was in that brief time where he was reworked. He's much more again that early game focused champion that you want to try to get stuff rolling with. And so they might definitely be looking, especially with this Nautilus now in the support lane alongside this Tristana. They definitely have either the top side or bottom side that they could focus on. Akali is kind of often used as a counter to this Gwen because of the ability to kind of scrap a little bit between the inside the mist with the smoke screen from Akali. So I definitely think that there are a little bit of shortcomings as this game is gonna kind of go on, especially because this Shaco might start falling off and losing some of that value compared to the Gwen or the Riven and Kiana. And so definitely some small shortcomings as the game is going to keep going on, but I definitely I'm really excited about this early game specifically to see the pathing and see what kind of stuff Predictive is going to try to force with this Shaco in that early game.
And of course, here, the Gwen coming through in the jungle, I mean, it's a really strong pickup because Gwen is a strong champion, not because Gwen is a strong jungler per se. What are we expecting out of this early game here when you've got a Riven Kiana as your two solo lanes?
Yeah. You've got really volatile solo lanes, and so this could go one of two ways, right? We could definitely see the Gwen kind of trying to pure farm, go full herbivore jungler and try to find themselves a lot of power through the power farming. Or we could see Gwen try to capitalize on one of these volatile lanes, specifically when they hit 6, but I could see it before as well. If she wants to hit this topside jungle, if she wants to try to contest Seiko a little bit more alongside the Riven, I could definitely see this pre-6 before Akali picks up that perfect execution. Um, and I think a lot of this game is going to be very predicated on this top side of the map for both teams.
Yeah, of course, when you've got such a volatile top side of the map here, AP jungle with two 80 solo laners versus 80 jungle with two AP solo laners, and all of them sort of being these squishier sort of champions. Akali can get a little bit beefier. Victor can get a little bit beefier with the Crown of the Shattered Queen, but in the same vein, Riven, if they pick up Gore Drinker, pick up some of those other healing bruiser items, they can get quite beefy as well as the Gwen. It's going to be a lot of fighting, it feels like, on this top side of the map, but let's just take a quick look at this bot lane here. Tristana Nautilus versus the Jinx Thresh. Seems like meta from season 9 with the Tristana Nautilus versus meta from season 12 with this Jinx Thresh here. Who are you sort of favoring in this matchup, and what can we expect?
I'm definitely favoring the Jinx Thresh. I think Thresh, just in a vacuum, is pretty good into the Nautilus being able to flay away any hooks, as well as the ability to just kind of keep your AD carry safe in general with that Lantern. I think Thresh is just a pretty good in vacuum pick into a Nautilus. So I'm definitely favoring the side of Jinx Thresh as this powerhouse bot lane. But I can see situations, especially if we're having the Jinx kind of split off a little bit to where they get caught out. If Pixel Wolf isn't super nearby Rainbow Tails here on this thresh, if they are separated at any point, I can definitely see quick 2v1s popping off with this Nautilus engaging those.
For sure. So we'll have to find out exactly how this game turns out. If Barbara's Fan Club are going to be able to overcome the adversity of the substitution in the mid lane, or if it's going to be Predictive Nemesis being able to shut down the early season favorites here. Don't go anywhere. You're watching BTL Season 12. And welcome back, everyone, to Black Twitch League Season 12, Week 1, Day 2, with our first game of the day with, oh my goodness, Predictive Gaming versus Barbara's Fan Club. I'm already losing my words on my intros. We're only into Game 1 here. That's how excited we are for this one. But early on here, looking at some of the runes, nothing too crazy, too out of the ordinary here. Unlike what we've seen yesterday with a couple of odd rune choices, but the summoner spells might be something to look into, specifically top side of the map.
Yeah, we have no flashes on this on this top side. Specifically here for this Akali and this Shaco here on Predictive Gaming. And that kind of just reinforces my thinking here that, you know, they definitely want to, you know, start some stuff early. We can see the quick early setup on these Raptors, pretty normal for Shaco. And he's going to be trying to kind of double camp here. So I definitely think that we're going to see a path from bot to top as Shaco tries to get something early on this ribbon. And I'm excited, and I hope that we get to see some action.
Yeah, and Shaco's one of those champions that just has a crazy clear. It's something that you just never really expect to come as quickly as it does. Just does Raptors with 3 boxes, is able to do the red buff as well at the same time with a leash. So really interesting how that champion works. It really shows that Mute knows what they're doing on this champion. And of course, that sounds like the stupidest thing to say because they're playing it in a game. But honestly, there's sometimes where you see junglers and like, yeah, pick me Fiddlesticks. And then they mess up their like double camp clear and you're like, why did you pick Fiddlesticks then? Like, because it looked good in this game. But regardless, Shifo going to be going top to bot here. So obviously just looking to stay away from the Shaco in terms of where they are on the map.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see some quick action bot already.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Rainbow Tail's taking a whole bunch of damage, but Melon hooked into the tower, forced to flash away. Both of those supports dropping their flashes really early on into this lane as the Ignite is put down by Rainbow Tails as well.
Yeah, yeah, that was another thing is looking at the runes here. Cookies with that Hail of Blades is really showing what they're all about in this bot lane. They know that they're not going to necessarily scale to the same level that the Jinx will alongside this Thresh. And so getting that quick early to level 2 and then being able to kind of instant engage on that and blow the sums off Rainbow Tails is really, really good from the side of Predictive Gaming. And now it's going to be up to whether or not we see possible dives or if they themselves are able to capitalize that in a 2v2.
Oh, yeah, and meanwhile on this top side of the map, Wetoted just going with a pretty heavy trade against Pafu here. The Akali with that early game damage with the Conquer as well as with those passive procs, able to end up winning out on that trade. This Riven already having a little bit of trouble here. This isn't a lane that is necessarily going to be super easy for Riven, at least in this early game, when Pafu is just able to dip in and out of that Shroud and throw out those kunai at will.
Yeah, this lane's not going to be a fun one for a while, at least, unless some jungler intervention does occur. Like you said, the passive is what really drives lanes that Akali's able to bully in. Being able to get off 1 or 2 in quick succession passive procs is always going to be pretty damaging. And here in the mid lane, we see a nice wave building into Spy Fiction as they're getting kind of a little bullied a little bit more than I would have expected out of Victor into this early Kiana.
Yeah, and Kiana really wants to have her wave get pushed into her in that early stages and push it back and start to fight people in that way. That's sort of the set way that you play Kiana mid lane, and thus far, Inai's done a great job into what could be a little bit of a difficult matchup here, but Mute now showing up here, trying to make the plays onto Inai. He's gonna be able to go in, actually, with that grass element. Gonna pick up First Blood. Will get taken down by Spy Fiction, but First Blood going over to the side of Barbara's Fan Club is on the top side of the map. Wetoted forced to flash away as Pafu almost finds the solo kill.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, good job from Inai being able to take that 2v1 and actually win it. I think that it's not as damaging as it could have been. Unfortunately, Spy Fiction was not able to hold a freeze and then back and really punish Inai for losing that death there. But I think there was a little bit of maybe a miscommunication. Maybe they don't play these two champions together much or something. Wow. And oh man, that's rough. Oh, that's really rough for Spy Fiction now.
Yes.
But in that gank, if you saw, they had dropped the gravity well and the box in the same location, kind of forward where a nice tower, like the path to the tower was, and no one really covered the path downwards. And so being able to move downwards kind of escaped any possible CC for an eye and was able to turn back and get that quick burst onto mute. And now Spy Fiction in a really rough state as this lane is going to slow push into him, thankfully. But Anai is going to have kill potential way earlier than you would like as the victor in this situation.
Exactly, and I think another thing is that Kiana now has a lot more agency to sort of roam around the map here as Mute, trying to come over the wall, doesn't have the tools to make any sort of ganks happen. You can see how far off the wave Spy Fiction has to play as Anai has just started taking over this mid lane, and this Kiana can be a really volatile pick, as you were mentioning. You have a lot of kill threat, you have a lot of roaming potential. Kiana just loves to sit in the river. That's her favorite place to fight because you're able to stun off of effectively anything there, so long as you hit some champions in that sense. But Watoted here on the top side of the map, going to get engaged on here, but is able to get away. Here comes the Shuriken flip into the second half of that perfect execution. Watoted able to stay alive, doesn't have that flash, and Pafu going in way too deep a little bit. Ends up taking the worst end of that trade as the Shaco didn't really accomplish much topside.
Yeah, Shaco, no Ignite there either, so wasn't able to do a whole lot, but they are going to be moving into this red side as both junglers are going to kind of exchange buffs. However, very, very importantly, Shifu is up very significantly in farm to the Shaco, while also having the overall gold lead on their side, thanks in particular to this Kiana mid, being able to take all this pressure and kind of deal with it really effectively.
Oh man, not again here. And I, though, gonna miss the Supreme Display of Talent, onto that wall, and it's gonna allow Spy Fiction to pick up that kill, and it's gonna be a solo kill up on that top side of the map as well as Pafu drops down the Ignite, and Watoted really no way to stay alive from that one. So some good plays around the map here from the side of Predictive Gaming to get themselves back in the driver's seat just a little bit here. Granted, if you look across the map, you can see the jungle farm situation is starting to get a little bit out of hand here. While the Shaco has been able to contribute around the map, Shifo's been perfectly fine just farming up on this Gwen, sort of getting away from that rough situation that you can end up in if Gwen isn't able to get ahead in this early game. And she's been able to just farm up. She's able to get through her weakest point in the game.
Yeah, she's hit 6, and so is effectively full build, like a Aurelia with Barik, as we see an engage bot.
Yeah, Rainbow Tail's forced to flash out again. The jump gonna come forward. It's double jump time for Cookies. Flashes out as well, as it's going to be a kill for the Tristana on this bottom side of the map. Pixel Wolf, not yet level 6, did burn that heal as well, but now Shifo sitting in this bush, trying to make something happen. There's a really good box put down there, but here comes Shifo moving forward. Gonna try and find the play, but Mute is using that clone to zone off so effectively here. You don't want to fight that, as Shifo just going to snip and get out of there. Saved the ultimate. I think that's crucial, though, as this dragon has spawned. You still have that team fight tool at your disposal if you are Shifo.
Yeah, definitely. And they have complete control on bot side now. Mute is backed, and the bot side of Predictive Gaming is a little bit chunked, and they also have gold dispense, so they're not going to want to stick around. So the side of Barber Gaming, they're definitely going to have this like full control of this bot side and should be able to pick up a free dragon for themselves, especially with Mute moving upwards, but or top side. But it looks like the side of Barber are actually not going to be trying to get this dragon. They're going to pull a freeze, or an attempt at a freeze here actually on the bot side.
Yeah, Barber's Fanclub just not wanting to take any sort of risks at this stage. They know that they've got scaling on their side. When you've got the Gwen, when you've got this Jinx, you know that you can sort of wait until an item and a half, 2 items there, and look for those fights in the mid game. And we know Pixel Wolf, despite being one of the gold players in the min-max situation, she knows how to play this champion. She knows how to pilot her way around this game. Has done incredibly well in the past in a lot of these BTL seasons. She said herself, she's going for this revenge tour. Second place in the Valorant tournament, second place last season in BTL, and now that Maria's Dungeon isn't here, they're as close to the defending champions as we can get. As huge trade up on that top side, though, is Watoded having a rough time in this lane as the Riven down 30 CS, down that solo kill, and this Akali is pretty scary right now.
Yeah, definitely. This Akali is full lane dominance currently, and Watoded has not been able to buy any sort of assistance up top to this point in the game. And it's going to kind of come down to whether or not Watoded is able to buy some solo time in the lane. Maybe they're able to pick up a nice freeze and get a lot of this golden XP that they've been missing out on back, or if they're going to kind of be slumbering around at this state that they are currently for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Watoded, that lane ends up being effectively lost right now as the tower goes down. A whole bunch of plates going over to Pafu here on the Akali. Now up 40 CS now. Looking at the gold, richest member in the game, despite only having that single solo kill there, is already up about 2,000 gold on this Riven.
Yeah, definitely very ahead, and we're probably going to see Pafu try to extend this lead elsewhere on the map. But what I would like to see is Watoded kind of pull a freeze here. Unfortunately, well, they're going to be pushing it in, and so Pafu's actually going to be coming back up topwards now. They looked like they were going to kind of move down to this bot side, maybe for a possible dragon. But they're going to be coming up top again, and but at the very least, for Watoded, they're able to pick up 2 waves, pretty uncontested. And this hopefully will be able to crash back into them at some point.
Yeah, and you would hope that for this Riven's sake and for the side of Barbara's fan club that they're able to sort of manage this Akali as the game goes on. Shifo, despite really not participating much in this game, doing exactly what we expected out of the Gwen jungle. Just farm up, get that CS lead, and be able to have some impacts around the map once you get to that mid game, once you get to that power point, and has enough gold now for that Nashor's Tooth. Down a little bit in gold just because of the plates that went over to mute on the Shaco, but will finish the item first. Actually, Shaco just went for sort of the garage sale of components right now. Has the Serrated Dirk, has those tier 2 boots as well as that Sheen, so will pack a punch, but nothing fully complete quite yet.
Yeah, and you and I are both a little aware all too well of the garage build. As I've been testing out some Kha'Zix mid recently and found it can be still be a little bit effective with that garage build, as Iniza gonna have to hop over this wall, keep themselves to safety, away from this very scary Akali.
Yeah, the Akali really the main focal point of this game thus far, but really interesting to see how slow this early game has evolved here. There's 6 kills, 13 minutes in. First dragon was taken by Barbara's fan club only about 12 minutes into this game, so it's nothing too crazy. As now Rainbow Tail's in a little bit of a tough situation. Great hook though, gonna land onto Cookies. Will still get taken down as Cookies will get taken down by the box, plus an auto attack there. Was trying to wait that out as long as possible, but Pixel will finally going to be able to get onto the board. That's a really good pickup for the Jinx, but unfortunately for Rainbow Tails, had the right idea, just didn't know that Mute was sitting around that corner.
Yeah, definitely, and as you mentioned, this game is very slow, but we've seen a 3K gold lead kind of prop up on the side of Predictive Nemesis so far, or Predictive Gaming Nemesis so far, and it's definitely in part partially done by Mute on this Shaco, part of 3 of these 5 kills so far, and definitely on this Akali, who was put such a strong statement into this top lane so far, up 40 CS just 14 minutes into this game.
Yeah, and much like we were saying with the Shaco build, the Riven's got herself a garage sale as well. Granted, I don't think she wants to have the garage sale. I think it's just a a necessity at this point, just trying to get as much survivability as possible, as much ability haste as well, because that's really what Rivens want to do. They want to be able to spam their abilities out, be able to try and output as much damage as possible. But on this bot side of the map, trouble ensuing. Shifo's on this bottom side of the map. Cookies has already flashed out here, but the needlework coming down. Lots of damage. Gale Force forward, and the Snip going to be able to pick up a kill for Shifo. Rainbow Tail's unfortunately going to pick up that second kill onto Melon, but Shifo has arrived. Pixel Wolf dropping down the emote, is not pleased that they got no kills, but it should be a tower as Barbara's Fan Club finally coming alive on this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, definitely. They're starting to kind of push back on the lead that Predictive Nemesis had on the spot side. You know, even before when Cookies had that kill over Pixel Wolf, Pixel Wolf still wasn't, you know, down in CS or anything either, and so was still in a very decent and good spot. And now that we've seen, you know, this bot side gank go on the side of Barbara. Oh wow,
that's unfortunate. Yeah, and Mute just comes in behind the tower, and Watoted really not able to do much. But yes, as you were saying, on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, on the bottom side of the map, Pixel Wolf has kind of, with this bot side gank by Shifo, kind of pulled themselves back in fully. They're pretty much essentially even with Cookies, and as the game goes on, you know, you kind of always happy with that if you're a Jinx player.
The Jinx being even after laning phase, generally a pretty good sign, because we know how impactful that champion can be in the later stages of the game. Of course, Shifo not going to mind being almost 30 CS up, 35 CS up now in their own right over the Shaco here. While the Shaco has had some pretty good ganks and been able to have some impact, what does Shaco really offer once you get to that late game? That's the real question that we have to ask. And what are you expecting from the Shaco come late game?
I mean, come late game, you're gonna, probably ideally from the Shaco see a lot of like terrain coverage, attempting to try to seize a lot of control over zones with these boxes before dragons, barons, or any of these objective takes. That is a strength that Shaco can definitely provide, as well as just in general being able to effectively 1v1 a lot of champions well. However, on the side of Barbara,
yeah, Melon's just gone off of the map.
Oh,
Shifo's able to find that, but Pafu now teleporting behind enemy lines, but in a 1v5 situation, Pafu almost going to be able to get out, but it is another kill picked up by Pixel Wolf, as now the fight continues with Toaded here, finally able to get a lot of impact. It's a huge Blade of the Exile there onto 3 members, able to pick up a kill. Pixel Wolf flashing, Gale Force forward, able to pick that up. Oh my goodness, and Pixel Wolf ends up being the big balls in that one, just moving forward so aggressively, able to pick up that kill on to Pafu, or onto Mute actually, as they were trying to run away. And it's going to be the Dragon picked up for the side of Barbara's Fan Club, and that was a very decisive fight. They're finally breaking open the gates and picking up a 5-for-1 ace.
Yeah, being able to pick up the Dragon, being able to pick up an extra turret, with Toaded being able to kind of finally pick up some gold into this game. Definitely really good all over from the side of Barbara's Fan Club, being able to really pull themselves back in wholeheartedly into this game, as we see Pixel Wolf with the lead now over Cookies, and a solid, very extreme lead from Shifu over Mute now, and it's going to be kind of up to the side of Predictive Gaming to see if they can they themselves can kind of pull back from this. Maybe see if they can pick up certain picks here with this Shaco and Nautilus and Tristana.
And you can see just coming over the top here with this Jinx, able to pick up her full rapid fire cannon at this point. She's going to be able to get that, you know, first auto down onto a lot of these members, which can chunk out. We know how strong it can be with the rockets because of the extra range. You drop that down onto a couple of members there, it can start off your fight. It can be sort of a quasi-engage there, but Pafu up on this top side of the map looking for the solo kill onto Wetoted, who's trying to turn this one around. Second half of the perfect execution hasn't come through yet. Pafu gonna think second of it as the needlework is starting to come down from Shifo, but Pixel will finally able to pick up another kill in this fight. It's an eye picking up Mute as well as Melon. Now off on this side, a lot of damage coming through from Spy Fiction, but Wetoted able to pick up that kill as well. The hook just goes a little bit wide, but Pixel Wolf on the chase, looking for the Nautilus. Beware the depths, but beware the Jinx as well, as it's another great fight for Barbara's Fan Club. They're 4-for-0, a Rift Herald, and they're starting to run away with this one.
Yeah, definitely. Barber's being able to take two back-to-back, not maybe not full team fight as Cookies is pushing in this bot lane, but at least skirmish victories. And the side of Predictive Gaming, definitely not doing themselves any favors with some of these really unnecessary forces. As Cookies looks like he's gonna be taken down. Oh no,
Yeah.
Buster shot able to get him out.
Oh, Pixel Wolf, though, has to be really careful here. Mute trying to go on the run here, trying to make something happen. Pixel Wolf going to burn that heal. Pafu is on the chase, but Shifo here could be able to be the big sister, saving Pixel Wolf. When all is over here, Mute gonna just run that clone in, but Inai comes in from the side, able to pick up that kill onto the Shaco, and all of a sudden, this Shaco has just sort of fallen off a cliff in the last couple of minutes there. Really no impact and just over chasing that play. As you can see, the score line's coming through. Lots of bounties available for this side of Predictive Nemesis onto the members of Barber's Fan Club, as they've had a pretty significant gold swing, almost 5,000 gold swing in the last 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean these are the kind of things that are going to happen when you're taking some of these possibly unnecessary and a little egregious skirmishes and fights. Really speaking specifically of Pafu on that top side, trying to get that 1v1 with Toaded, which led to that big 4-man kills from the side of Barber Fan Club. Taking those kind of fights where they don't have the correct amount of vision to really support these skirmishes and fights, feeling a little more overconfident than they possibly should with this lack of vision, is always going to lead or land them into some some trouble especially as this game is going on, and they take some of these fights with the lack of intel that they kind of have.
Yeah, you can just see, just wanting to skip and slash around the map here is this Gwen, who most CS on their team, 4 CS short of having the most CS in the game. That's definitely what you call Gwen gaming right there. She loves to farm up her camps, loves to get a whole bunch of farm, and now has that Rift Herald as well to potentially drop down and pick up some plates, but really well played from Shifo this game. This is what we expected of this player, but Melon going to be hit with that supreme display of talent there. I don't know if that's supreme enough, though, is Melon going to live with a sliver of health, and unfortunately the Super Mega Death Rocket not going to land either. My goodness, Melon happy to be alive, thanks to Aftershock there, realistically, as these fights, they're so close to being so bad for the side of Predictive Gaming, but they're able to just barely stay alive, keep themselves slightly relevant. But look at this potential play. Yeah, they might be forcing towards Baron here. Looks like they're going to think differently of it, but at the very least, this is a lot of control over to the side of Barber's Fan Club around this Soul Point Dragon, for them, with this cloud spawning in 1 second.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it looks like the side of Predictive Gaming are gonna kind of give it over essentially for free, as they're kind of just moving around this mid side, trying to get a quick push in. But that's the sole point, like you said, to the side of Bar Gaming, and they're kind of sitting really pretty here. And Gwen is immune.
Yeah, Melon finds out that there are 3 things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and Gwen is immune. Might have used that joke yesterday, actually, so oops. But regardless, yes, Melon gets taken down. You know, it's just so prevalent now that you see Gwen in like half the games you see in competitive, and she's just immune. It's awful. It's no fun if you are Melon. You want to try and crowd control the Gwen. You're trying to find some sort of engage. Just presses W and it's over. But Cookies, okay, Cookies is gone as a supreme display of talent comes over the wall, and Barber's Fan Club looking to end this one.
Yeah, Barber's Fan Club getting a hard push in here, possibly looking to see Shelly dance here at the end of the day. But really, really unfortunate, really rough from the side of Predictive Gaming. This is the kind of point that a unchecked Kiana can get to, and you never want to see it, where they can kind of just one-shot anyone in the game. And when I say anyone, I mean everyone with that supreme display of talent.
Yeah, and of course, if you're able to display your talent that supremely on this champion, you've got to think that, hey, might be something we consider taking off the table, because Qiyana can be such an oppressive champion. And we saw it in the early game. It was really off of the back of Inai that Barbara's Fanclub were able to sort of get some sort of advantage across the map there, mostly through that mid lane, where Inai was able to pick up a couple of kills. And despite, giving that lead a little bit back towards Spy Fiction here, I think that we can confidently say that Inai, coming in as the substitute off the bench, doing a pretty good job of it, all things considered. But it's going to be the first objective bounty picked up by the side of Predictive Gaming. They still have some avenues back into this game, despite how strong the side of Barbara's Fanclub feel at this point. The gold difference is only 4,000 gold.
Yeah, it's not a huge gold difference, but with the way the comps work, the 4,000 feels more like 8,000 at times in this game, unfortunately, for side of Predictive Gaming, and it could possibly only get worse from here if they're not able to find something to really just hold on to at this point in the game.
Yeah, Inai is stalking.
Inai is really hunting.
Oh man! Oh no, okay. Papu with the 500 IQ prediction, despite having absolutely no vision there, able to stay alive. But yes, Inai was hunting for that one. You can see the builds that are coming through though now. 2 Hex Drinkers now complete on the Qiyana and the Jinx here. So it's going to be a lot more difficult for Pavu to get in there. Granted, with the Shadow Flame, you still get a little bit of extra bonus out of that when the Hex Drinker does get popped. The shield coming out from the Thresh as well, something to consider. So there are still some avenues back into this game for Predictive Gaming. What's sort of the ideal fight in your eyes?
Oh, the ideal fight is one that Shifo's not in it, honestly. Shifo's kind of the big stumbling block for the side of Predictive Gaming on this team comp, because there's no one on the side of Predictive Gaming to really be able to handle Shifu. Your best hope is that either Shaco or Akali or even both could, but with how strong this Gwen is at this point, it's definitely not feeling like it, as it looks like a possible free Baron here.
Yeah, it might be sniffed out here as Mute is suspicious of what's going on. They will get spotted out here, but Shifo, Pixel Wolf are trying to make something happen, and Nai with the supreme display of talent does not land onto Pafu here, but here's a really good fight coming through from Predictive Gaming. Will it matter though? Shifo goes golden for a second as Mute is taken off of the table. It's going to be a kill picked up by the Akali. The big shutdown comes through as Qiyana able to take down another one. Oh no, it's just going all the way of Barbara's Fanclub there. Spy Fiction gonna be seeing the goodbye wave from Inai there, as it looked good for a second there. They took down the Gwen, but she had 10 Magi stacks at the beginning of that fight. She died and still has 10 Magi stacks, so obviously something went right for the side of Barbara's Fanclub. They find another ace for themselves.
Yeah, they're able to get Shifo out of the fight, decently early, but the problem is that it came at the cost of both Mute and Melon's life. And the rest of the side here, Pafu was essentially half health after their or lower after they were able to take out Shifu fully, and unfortunately Pixel Wolf is able to just clean that up, as Inai and Witoted is able to kind of just roll through Cookies and Spy Fiction here, and it's really unfortunate, because this is kind of what I mean. At the end of the day, even if you're able to take down this Gwen, how much is it going to cost you?
Yeah, it's quite literally, your cost analysis there. If you want to be investing all of these resources into killing the Gwen, how much are you investing into trying to kill the Jinx here? But a little bit of an interesting engager. Oh, never mind. Shifo just so fat at this point, able to pick up 1 kill there. Will go down for their trouble, but Rainbow Tails with a great hook onto Mute. Pixel Wolf has arrived though. Jinx is getting excited, trying to find all of the damage though. It's not enough as Pafu finally able to break through, and this is a interesting fight on a couple of fronts here. Spy Fiction able to pick up a couple of kills, while Inai is able to collect another one. It is all for naught, it feels like, as Inai now chasing down Mute, looking for a little bit more. Pafu did go down to Inai's supreme display of talent. A couple more kills for this Qiyana, as Spy Fiction, the only one who's going to be able to live to tell the tale. They pick up 2 kills for themselves, but once again, at what cost did it take to take down Pixel Wolf, to take down Shifu? It still left Inai up available to really clean up that fight.
Yeah, and at this point in the game, there's just so many threats on the side of Barbara's Fanclub. You take down Shifu, awesome. You lose 2 people for it, but it's not it's not like super bad, right? Or I think they only lost Melon for really taking down Shifu, which is awesome, great. But you finally take down Pixel Wolf, and that costs you Parfu as well. And at that point, you're kind of just sitting with Spy Fiction and Cookies once again, and neither of them are going to be able to really handle this Riven or this Kiana. The Riven's not super off the ground, but definitely able to put down damage at this point. And this Kiana is going to one-shot anyone on your team, unfortunately. So just really hard to get through these fights because you're trying to sacrifice so much just to finally take down Shifu. But it's not amounting to much afterwards.
Yeah, and they're going to try Baron again here. They weren't successful the first time around, not so much because they lost the fight, but more so because they just left the Baron. They said, you know what, we're going to take the ace and we're going to get some towers off of this. We were looking at that gold difference, though. It's still only about 6,000 gold. It will, of course, increase once this Baron is taken down. But it's still not... Oh, never mind. Inaya's... Oh. That just happened.
How do you play the game? Kiana's a fun champion,
well, yeah. I mean, if you're a knight, you're having grand old fun here. If you're a mute, you really wish that champion did not exist right now. But great game so far from the side of Inai coming in as the substitution. Able to find a lot, but Pafu here trying to find something, trying to make something out of nothing here, trying to go onto Inai here, but it's not enough. Inai is legendary. Shifo, though, gets pulled back here. Hit with a depth charge into Spy Fiction. Gonna be able to pick up another one. Going on a killing spree. Cookies, though, gets hooked out of the air. And from where is that Jinx rocket coming? She's already in the base. Watoted trying to find the play in. Predictive have found a fight that works for them. Spy Fiction is starting to go on a rampage, but Pixel Wolf is still untouched. Will not be phased here. Takes the inhibitor. Looking for kills now. Spy Fiction. Oh, from the side here. And Nai is going to be taken down by Melon, but will end up picking that kill onto Spy Fiction. Pixel Wolf now trying to stay alive here. Mute gonna use that ultimate to try and stay alive, but Pixel Wolf stands tall in the face of adversity. It's another ace for the side of Barbarous Fan Club. There's still 2 Baron buffs left available, and they're going to push for a lot more than just what they got.
Yeah, and you can make a clone as Mute if you want, but unfortunately, Jinx is just going to rocket the other one and do, about the same amount of damage to you anyways. And Parfu, forcing that fight at the very beginning, looking like they might even be able to catch out Inai to start this game out. And quite unfortunately, we're not able to finish that out because, Inai has this Maw and is able to live through that burst. And, that was the closest looking fight possibly for the side of Predictive Gaming. And it came with the fact that Pixel Wolf wasn't even there for the majority of it.
Yeah, Pixel Wolf was just saying, I will push. Basically doing their Tryndamere impression at that point, saying, you know what, yeah, you guys figure it out. I mean, the rocket came from behind them, which is, don't think we've seen any ultimates from behind enemy lines since we saw Huang Feng do that at Worlds, Rip Sunan Gaming, by the way. But regardless, sort of just having an absolute ball this game. Normally, you look at the team comps and you're like, okay, so it's just going to be the Nuke / Inai and Shifo show this entire season popping off, but Pixel Wolf has done an amazing job on this Jinx. 11, 1, and 8. 19 KDA, by the way. Going to be looking good for the stat sheets if they're able to keep that up. But thus far, just a great performance, and a lot of it is just due to this Jinx being able to get reset after reset, as Watoted face plants into the wall. Yes, we all saw that.
Yeah, and this is the this is looking like the death push here, as we're having 2 lanes push in. And Inai's going to look for this 3rd inhibitor. And you're going to have to send more than these 2, honestly, to stop this.
Yeah, basically just pushing to end the game here. And they don't care anymore. They just want to end this game. They've been able to pick up a lot of really good fights. And while the side of Predictive Nemesis Gaming here have had a very valiant effort, I don't know if it's going to be enough. Granted, Watoda now in the middle of everyone trying to take a 1v5 here. Rainbow Tails is there. Actually, on the side is going to be Pixel Wolf taken down by this Akali. Finally able to get it. Cookies is going to be able to find a kill onto the Thresh, as well as Watoda just baited in the Thresh with that one. It's a 2-for-1 thus far, but Inai has not yet shown up, and Cookies takes a solid 90% of their health with just one combo. Shifo, though, able to take down the Akali on the side, means that they still have 3 very strong members in the base here. Mute, Spy Fiction, Cookies, Melon trying to defend the base with all that they've got. It's just going to be the 3rd inhibitor picked up, and despite Pixel Wolf going down to the Akali, getting assassinated on the side, they're still able to find the other 2 inhibitors, and triple inhibitor with Elder Dragon spawning here, it's a little bit tough for Predictive Gaming.
Yeah, it's really tough, and they might not even be able to save this. They'll be able to save the Nexus turret. I was a little scared before that minion wave kind of spawned in, but you know, it's hard because how do you even leave the base to try to contest this Elder? And once the Elder goes down, you know, you've been losing a lot of these fights even before the Elder, but after, especially with, you know, Pixel Wolf and Inai and Shifu. You know, honestly, your whole team on the side of Barba's Fanclub. How are you supposed to live through that? You know.
It's really
oh boy.
Oh well, there's no steal potential now, at least not from a smite steal as powerful on the side. Oh, is gone as well, and I just sort of showing off at this point here. Shifo, oh my goodness, the needles are doing so much damage. Gwen is running at you with scissors. You're not supposed to do that. They taught you that in kindergarten, but Gwen does not care. She's gonna pick up, you know, 4 more assists, by the way. Shifo just being the true support this game, but Barba's Fanclub here gonna be fans of winning League of Legends as well after this one. A Spy Fiction, really the only one to live to tell the tale. Great game coming through from the early season favorites here as they're able to take game 1 against Predictive Gaming.
Yeah, in very strong fashion. You know, we saw some early movements out of Mute on the Shaco. They're able to get a little bit done, and it looked like they might be able to even see if they could try to take that 3K gold lead that they had early on and possibly push it further, especially with Pafu and how strong they were and how much of a lead they had over that Riven on Watoda. But unfortunately, you know, they kind of just ran into a brick wall as Shifu started entering these fights, and Pixel Wolf able to get some gold back themselves and then just become an absolute monster in these mid to late game fights. It's just really unfortunate that they weren't able to find anything out of this Shaco in the mid game, and unfortunate that they kind of fell off with the Tristana as well.
Yeah, unfortunate at best is what we can say. I mean, the Shaco, a little bit of an odd pick off of the wall. Of course, it did have some decent impact in that early game, but you know, Gwen is inevitable there. She's gonna be able to scale. She's gonna be able to skip and slash. She's gonna be able to cut you in half, whatever she so desires. And you know, with that mist, it's just so difficult to deal with in that later stage of the game. But honestly, what would you give as sort of advice for the side of Predictive Gaming as we move into game 2 in terms of being able to bounce back from this one?
Honestly, I think if you're not sure how you're gonna handle the Gwen, I think you just ban it away at this point. I think you had a really strong top side. I think your bot side was working well for you, but specifically that Gwen was kind of just like you said, that inevitability feeling as they continued to farm up and become a monster. And I think that you definitely could handle this Kiana a lot better than they did. I think a lot of these ganks kind of were just a little bit either miscommunication or they weren't sure how to play around it. But I definitely think that this Kiana could have and should have been punished a lot more than it did in the early game.
It was.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was a tough situation, and the tough situation is going to get worse as Nukes has shown up. So, so yes, and I filling in, doing a great job, and they're saying, yeah, great job, get out of here, basically making way for their full roster. But when we come back, we will have game 2 of Barbara's Fanclub versus Predictive Gaming. We'll see if Predictive Gaming can maybe make some rumblings and find themselves an upset angle here, or if Barbara's Fanclub are just going to continue being fans of Barbara and being fans of winning as well. I don't really know what I'm supposed to say there, but don't go anywhere. You're watching Black Twitch League Season 12.